I got a FaceTime the other day from my brother Toby, and he was in the bathtub. And so I wanted to
look
know.
How C looking at it. Look how C looking at it.
Foul.
Hey, flag on the play.
Flag on the play.
Hey, hold on. It's foul that you're showing us this foul picture right now, dog.
Hey, Ma, look at C's face. C knew it was foul. Look at his face.
C knew it was foul off the cuff. Yeah, C knew right off. C looking bewildered. Bruh. No, you just didn't call me like this.
I'm in my room, I'm just chilling working, and all of a sudden I get a FaceTime, and I was like, he probably want to show me one of the kids or something like that. And he's in the tub. I said, bro, what are you doing? And he said, well, his excuse was, Beyonce just put me on her playlist, so I had to FaceTime you ASAP. So it was no time to wait. So I said, bruh, do me a favor, get off my line while you in the tub and call me when you get out and fully clothed. So I didn't know. I was like, man,
I just got a question though, see. Is it a millennial thing? Because people hit me all the time, y'all, like, yo, E, I'm gonna FaceTime you. I'm like, just call me. Well, I don't need to see your face.
No, I'm with you, E.
I think maybe I'm old. I'm like, let's call. Let's talk. I don't want to see your face.
I met a guy, E, and literally, like a young cat, and we exchanged numbers. He was asking me some questions. He had listened to the podcast before, so I started talking. He asked me some real estate stuff. I was, dude, let's connect. Here go my number. Bro, my man FaceTimed me like that night. I was like, bro, I don't even know your last name. Like, we can't do that quick.
You feel me? That's why I said I think it's an age thing, Carl.
Yeah.
Because for them, because I'm being real, and I know CJ and Ma, they 12 years younger, so they probably do it. But I'll be real, I still talk to my wife on the phone. Like, I don't FaceTime Didi when I'm at the grocery store. I just call her, and just talk, bro. I don't have the phone looking at her face. I'm shopping. So I just don't do FaceTime unless it's like, a presentation or something. Yeah. Where I feel like it's 3 or 4 or 5 kids in the room. I want to talk to them.
But let me ask you, what do you have against it? You're a flight attendant. You seem like you should like FaceTime.
It just seems like it's okay. So maybe this is what it is. Maybe I was introduced to talking on the phone. It was just a phone, so it wasn't like a computer type thing. So I guess I'm accustomed to you pick up the phone, we talk, like we're not looking at each other's face. And then I also think I could be wrong, but like. That's a little intimate. I'm like, I just feel like it's close.
Awkward, bro. You just looking at each other's face. It's awkward.
Yeah, I thought I'm old, bro. I just got to admit it. I'm old.
So I would say that I would agree with y'all pre-COVID, but man, I don't get to see y'all much. You know what I'm saying? So if I want to FaceTime my brothers, I'm good. I just don't know why Toby chose to do it from the tub.
In the tub.
Yeah, with suds all over his little taco meat chest.
Looking like Ernie on Sesame Street. Looking like he out of Sesame Street.
Foul.
All day foul.
All right, cool. So
I wish I never seen that image, bro. I don't even.
Hey, so y'all.
Now I was gonna call Toby up today. Now I'm like,
no. Yeah,
I'm good.
Don't FaceTime. There's no telling where he'll answer at. It's just a lot of emotion, man, when you think about the fact that we have, come a long way, but we still got so far to go. And I think it's important to acknowledge those facts simultaneously. Two things can exist. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's like, oh, we's in the exact same spot we were in the 60s. I'm like, don't do that. That's a disrespect to our ancestors who went through civil rights, who worked their butt off to make sure we could vote, we could eat at the same spot, you know what I mean? So, but at the same time, we got a ways to go. It's like somebody who weighs 400 pounds. You could lose 100 pounds and still be at risk of death. You know what I'm saying? Like, you still obese, you could still have diabetes, it's still very critical, but you can still acknowledge that you have come, a ways. And Carl, I think you having these discussions and us taking these, because here goes the thing, right? So I was just thinking to myself too, Carl, and that's a great point, because it's funny, we got the puppy, right? So the puppy's been attracting the neighbors over, we still doing a social distance, but I wasn't outside, but Candace said she had a great conversation with my neighbors across the street. They came over. And it was kind of one of those things where you couldn't avoid it, kind of like, oh, well, how's everything going on in the world? How's everything? And boom, they were able to start having conversations. And so I think it's that next level now to where you didn't really have to address it because you're not looking at them like they're not racist. Them, they're great people. but you also never have to have a next level conversation, right? You can just kind of act like it don't exist. Everybody can kind of do their thing and feel great. And you don't have to really take it to that next level. And now what this has allowed us to do, I feel like, is elevate the conversation even further beyond blatant racism or getting called the N-word or people not talking to each other at all to like, now how can we elevate this thing and take it to the next level? So I think that's brilliant, man. A lot of conversations, need to be had and are taking place. I'm still getting phone calls from people who are like, yo, help me understand. How can we, advance this thing to the next level? Maul, obviously, man, I probably got more feedback on your take on policing and things of that nature. Like I think last week you brought a ton to the conversation in the way of how police think, how they operate, how they're trained, things of that nature. How's it been for you, the reception and kind of as you watch this thing unfold?
Yeah, it's been crazy. A lot of my friends and family still are police officers. So I'm hearing like a different perspective. The same way how we're talking about, and you see everybody in the community talking about, hey, Black Lives Matter. Hey, man, we need change. The police, I hear them saying like, they're sticking together and they're saying like, hey, man, this riot was crazy. I'm getting hit with feces and urine. Protesters are throwing. So you're hearing a different side, people saying like, hey, it's been people outside my house. They're saying that we're getting threatening letters, put on our cars and people know where we live at. And so I'm fearing for my family's life. And it's just what the crazy part is that I'm in that middle, right? Even like how we came up with the word 9-to-5 millionaire, right? Half of me was a 9-to-5. I worked as a blue collar police officer. And the other half of me, was a millionaire or is a millionaire. And so I can understand both sides. And I'm hearing both sides right now. And I'm just like, wow. And the crazy part is that those same people that's talking about like, hey, man, I'm fearful for my life, my children's life, things like that. They are the community too. It's like, that uniform, once that person puts on that uniform, they don't all of a sudden just get away from the community. These are the same people that's going to church with you. These are the same people that's, the kids are going to the same school with your kids and things like that. And so it's just messed up, man. And I just try to tell them, I had one friend of mine, and I'll say this real quick, where he's a police officer and he was just like, Jay, man, he's actually a white guy, a white cop. And he was just like, man, everybody keeps saying that Black Lives Matter. And man, I know Black Lives Matter, but man, Blue Lives Matter too. And I'm just like, bruh, you gotta stop with that right there. That right there. I was like, that's it right there. I was like, you gotta stop. I was like, bruh, it's kind of like this, right? Here it is, somebody's father passed away, right? And you're at this person's funeral, right? At your friend's father's funeral. And your father passed away, let's say 15 years ago. And you're at the funeral saying, hey, man, I know you guys are crying. I know you guys are sad. But man, my dad passed away too 20 years ago. Nobody's consoling me. My dad passed. Bruh, let them grieve. Let the people at the family grieve, bruh. Like you had your time to, if you had your time to grieve. But I'm just saying, like right now, you can't walk into another funeral talking about something that maybe happened to you 10, 15 years ago. Like, man, the best thing you can do right now is console the family. They're grieving right now. They're not going to hear anything else that you're really saying. And so it's the grieving period. Eventually, we can sit down and talk about the passing of your dad, the passing of this person's dead, everybody's dead. But right now, we're at the funeral right now. So it's just like the best thing you can do is console, be sympathetic to what's going on and things like that, man.
No question.
So after we did the podcast, bro, like I said, I had so many calls just from a lot of police officers. And most of them was positive. I didn't get any negative, anything like that. And a lot of them was just saying, man, Jay, like, hey, we do this, the system has to change. A lot of police officers, I know a lot of good police officers, right? But it's not them, it's the system that needs to change. And when the system change, then they'll change. Then you'll start seeing the culture. So I don't think we can point individually at a lot of officers, which there are some bad ones that definitely need to. I mean, you can check their record and they got so many beefs against them that they shouldn't be on the street, but for the most part, it's the system that we need to focus on that needs reform.
Yeah, it's been, first off, last week's podcast was just, I started to listen to it on my phone And when the voices started to crack, I ran to the computer and turned on YouTube and had to watch the rest. And to see the emotion, the understanding. I mean, 4 people on this with me right now are 4 of the people I love the most in this world. And to see what the world's going through, I have a 11-year-old in Hudson, and that conversation is very different than with the 13-year-old Berkeley. And the question she has is very different. Our family, you guys are their uncles, their aunts. They look at the kids as cousins. Berkeley, when this all started, she said, "Dad, I just don't get it." She said, "Yanni and Jazzy," she said, "What? I don't get it. Yanni and Jazzy are so pretty, so smart, so talented. Why would I ever have a chance above them because of the color of my skin?"
It's a
And
tough
as a dad, I just start tearing up and just talking through why the world doesn't always see it that way. Mal, to your point, it's been really interesting because you hear people say all lives matter, but that's not what we're talking about right now. Mm-hmm. Of course, all lives matter, but I live in South Carolina. We've had 4 years of hurricanes, 4 straight years of hurricanes. It would be like me being in my house, a hurricane comes, rips off my neighbor's roof. My house is fine. I look at Heather and said, "I'm going to go save the neighbor." She says, "What about our house?" And I look at her and go, "What about our house? It's fine." "What do you mean, what about our house?"
It's thriving.
Right.
Our roof is intact. We're going to go over here and help. They're in trouble. And this has been the hardest thing for me through all of this is, and see, there's been, how many episodes have we been together? There's just been teaching moments of racism and you can say white privilege. White privilege, what white people don't understand is white privilege is you are viewed different. You are viewed different from the margin of error. You are viewed different from, I'll never forget, Carl, you were in the car, what was it, 4 or 5 years ago in Atlanta? When we left your house, see?
What happened?
And we were driving down and you started to fill in your pocket and you said, I forgot my license. What'd I say, see?
Oh, don't worry about it. Let's go.
I said, "Don't worry about it. I got mine." I said, "Don't worry. I'm in the passenger seat." I said, "Don't worry about it. I got mine." Didn't even cross my mind that if we got pulled over, there could be a problem.
Oh, I went straight back. I was like, nah, I'm good. We ain't gonna do that. But again, it's that that kind of invisible thing. And, of course, you don't have to experience, but I think, Josh, the crazy thing is for you is like, you're kind of like our eyes and ears. And so Josh will, you'll have instances where people will say things to you or maybe think that, you're on a different side, if you will, or could kind of make a joke or, things of that nature. And it's always fascinating to me. Even you said, there's people who you look at that are like the nicest guys, who you looked at were like, man, this guy's a great guy, family man, the whole 9, man in the community. And of course, you've never had to have that conversation. And then if something like this happens, they say something to you that's like, whoa, so what's that been like?
They're ignorant. They're ignorant to what's going on. They can't even comprehend. And so when they say things, to your point, see, the hardest thing for me to realize is it's not the, what's the quote? I think it's, I'd rather have an honest enemy than a dishonest friend.
Yep.
If you know people are just blatantly racist, you can navigate around it. That's actually the easy part to navigate around.
Yep.
It's all the other stuff that makes it difficult. I put a post on Instagram and talked about a sermon, but I just want to think in the world, if you could take out color, what do I think about you guys? And that's what I think. Everything you would think that makes an outstanding human being. There's not one, I don't think we've ever had one run-in instance in however many years with each other. Loving fathers, loving husbands, capable, smart, everything you could think of. And it breaks my heart that there's one reason why I get a different set of rules than you guys.
Yeah, no question. Josh, we were talking about, and I don't know how much, prior to us hanging all the time, you had to even remotely deal with it head on. But I know that, we brought up the situation in California with the table. Walk us through your perspective on that, because I did tell the story, and I wanted to get you in last week to kind of comment on it, but your commentary of the story and how you looked at it versus how we looked at it.
Yeah, so what I'll say is that still sticks with me today, and what I'll get to the front end of the story and kind of walk through my thought process. But the fact we sat down and ate still gets me today. I was so in shock of what happened. And then we went down, sat down, and ate. But, you know, I think it was raining. We had all the wives. I was driving the Suburban, dropped you guys off in front of the restaurant. There was no parking spots. I think it was pretty late too. So we were looking for a restaurant that could seat a bunch of us. There weren't many options. We were kind of off the beaten path, somewhere around LA. Drop you guys off. I'm walking into the restaurant. The girls are walking out and said, no tables. And I looked through the window.
For the rest of the night.
For the rest of the night. I look through the window and I see empty tables. I look through the door and see hardly anyone waiting. And it just hit me. And I walked in, and what's crazy is there were 2 white people working the front desk and 1 black girl working. So I walk in and say, you know, I said, hold on, I'm gonna go in. Walk in and say, I need a table for, I think there's 10 of us. I think she said 5 minutes, 3 minutes, right this way. I don't even know if we had to wait.
Right.
And it happened so fast to the table, like we were at the table, that I just sat there. I don't even remember, the food didn't taste. And that was the first time that I realized no one would ever pick up on that.
No.
Like there's stuff that goes on in this whole mess that no one even picks up on, and until you live it. And that was one of the moments that will stick with me forever. It will stick with me forever because it was so blatant, so obvious, caught red-handed, and for no reason. No reason.
You know, pick your spot. But before I go there, I gotta say this, guys. You know, I asked myself, you know, when the whole podcast ended last week, I was like, E, why didn't you cry? You know, I was like Josh. I was like, you know, I was just asking myself.
I thought it was because you was on the treadmill.
Yeah.
That would have looked kind of crazy.
Maybe that's it, Ma. Maybe that's what it was, a treadmill. You know, but I asked myself, you know, and you know what was so weird, guys, and I'm like, I didn't even believe that this was possible for me to do, you know, because I always talk about, you know, like press on, like grind, you know, like don't cry because you know, in pain, like keep going, get a reward for it, you know. So I got this such a positive outlook that actually, when I questioned myself, Josh, I was like, oh, you didn't cry because you've given up. You know, like that's why you didn't cry. Like you've given up on this country and racism ever, you know, white privilege, whatever you want to call it. Like you understand, like it's crazy, Josh. It's like I actually went and got the PhD so that it would be one less reason that you could use my color against me.
Right.
You know, like I ain't necessarily go get a PhD because I'm in love with studying, but it was like, okay, I need, you know, when I look at history, what I learned from Frederick Douglass, what I learned from Booker T. Washington, Du Bois, is that you actually have to be the best version of yourself to get a chance in this country. Like you gotta be Michael Jordan in terms of your, not necessarily playing basketball, but your life. You know, whereas, you know, I don't know Josh, but you know, maybe a white guy just has his 4-year degree, or maybe not even a 4-year degree, but he'll get an opportunity that I won't get, you know, with the same credentials that he had. Like, I gotta have a master's, a PhD. Like, I gotta prove myself, right?
Hey, E, let me just take it. So,
go.
So let me just go through the list really quick. I didn't mean to cut you off, but C, what do you have, a master's?
Yep.
Maul? 4 year?
No, I'm just, football.
Right?
Yeah.
Bachelor.
Yeah, 4 years.
4-year degree?
I got 1 master's for me and 1 for Maul.
Yeah, there you go.
He's got a PhD.
PhD. Guess what? I didn't finish.
Oh, wow. Wow.
To E's point, I didn't finish. No one ever asked me what my degree. No one asked me. I don't know if I've ever been asked. When my foot went bad, I either could sit in another state or I got home and got to work. I didn't even finish, and no one asked me that. E, sorry, I just want to say that to your point about having to go all down the line. Perfect.
Yeah, please. I mean, you bring in another level to it. But what I'm saying, Josh, I didn't even realize I quit. I gave up. That's why I didn't cry. You have to care to cry. I'm like, these dudes crying because they still care. Like, they really still, like, they young. They really thinking that, you feel me? They young. They don't know. They thinking that if they good people, they got degrees, they handle their business, they think that racism isn't going to exist. Carl from Barbados, he don't have the slightest idea. Right. You know what I'm saying? CJ from Lansing, bro, flat out. His mom white. C don't have the slightest idea. Like, he know, but there's a part of him that he's blind to. Oh, racist? Like, people could be racist. Like, Maul probably get it, but, Maul, like he said, went through what he went through. So for me, I'm like, bro, I've been past that. Like, I've been past believing in this country. I've been past believing that one day they're going to see me for who I am and not the color of my skin. I've been past that. I've been on, I'm down 20. When I start, I'm down 20, and I got to put up 40 if I'm going to win. You feel me? And they got the referee on their side. And the crowd is cheering for him. I'm like, I'm through. Like, I realized more, I didn't cry because I'm on fight mode now. And I ain't talking about fighting another person. I'm just talking about fighting myself and being like, you got to be the best version of yourself, bruh. Like Dubois, you know what I'm saying? Like, all the people we mentioned had to be the cream of the crop in order for us to even know who they were in history. Well, there are other people you know about, bro, I promise you they weren't necessarily the cream of the crop. You feel me? And so I was like, yo, I ain't cry because I don't believe in that foolishness. Like, you're going to have to grind, bro, and just embrace that, But as I was watching the news, and my wife was like, some of them people fake. I'm like, I'll take fake. Because some people have been fake and it's been to my disadvantage. I'll take fake to be for my advantage. Like, I'm not tripping. You know what I'm saying? I'll take, if you fake and just saying it because you want to be on the right side of history, I'll take that. I know Josh. Josh has been with us for over 10 years. Like, I don't need those relationships. Like you said, Erica called my next door neighbor, Mike. Carl said we had dinner, but no, it was specifically, Josh, my neighbors called like, yo, this ain't right. I don't know. What can we do? Like, let's eat together. Let's come together. Aubrey, my next door neighbor, Aubrey ain't but 8. She just turned 8. Josh, I'm talking about every day. She bringing me cupcakes. You know what I'm saying? Like, she getting she finding stuff in the house and putting it in whatever and coming by like, Eric, I love you. Like, we look up to you. So I've given up on the wider world, and I'm not bitter.
So what you're saying, I want to make sure that we're not taking this out of context. What you're saying is you've given up on the racist people trying to convert them over.
No, the system.
Right. I'm saying you haven't given up. Okay, got
the system's rigged.
The system ever being remotely fair. You feel me?
But I don't know. I mean, I got a slight issue with that only because
I don't have a problem with you having an issue. I'm just telling you where I am.
Right.
I've been gave up.
I'm saying you gave up, but again, when you say, is there no chance that by the time Trey is 37 years old, my age, that we could be in an incredibly better spot?
I never believed we could, ever. Now, I'm telling you, I'm hopeful what I've seen this week. I've never believed that Jalen would ever get a chance to just be black and still have a chance. I've never. So I was listening to the news, and one guy was like, come on now, there's no systemic racism. I'm like, bro, the last time I checked, the banks are owned by white males. The telecommunication is owned by white males. Technology is like everything. There's no black male or female or minority period that owns anything. They're not the CEO. They're not the CEO. So for me, am I gonna have a good life? Absolutely am I gonna have a good life. Well, let me just keep it 100 with you, how I feel. I feel with this talent that I have, if I was a white male, bruh, if I was a white male with this talent, bruh, do you understand? My parents didn't have nothing in terms of connections, nothing. My parents didn't have nothing. Do you understand that I don't have I don't have a network? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have nothing. Like, I had to grind to get where I am right now, for this company to get to where we are. We didn't have that. Look, bruh, and I can't get too deep into this. Let me just say, I was denied a loan. I was denied. With all the stuff I got, I was denied. Right. Josh, I pick up the phone, call one of my white male friends. He pick up the phone, call him. I got approved.
Yep.
I'm just saying, Josh.
What I tell you after, I got phone with E. What I tell you, see?
Oh, you said, you was like, that's only one reason. He got more money, he got more of this, more of that. I've never heard of anybody getting denied.
He can pay cash for his house.
Right.
Josh, here's what I'm saying, though, Josh. That's what I'm saying.
Sense.
I'm saying nothing changed, Josh. Now, it wasn't like they made a phone call and put millions of dollars in my bank account.
No,
you feel me? Or it wasn't like the bank was like, oh, all of a sudden, he ain't got no money, but off this man's word, we just gonna give him the opportunity. No.
Yeah, and mind you, for context, we're talking about this was last week. So this
week.
We're not talking about like something happened years ago.
This was last week. No, we can't give. I'm like, what? But you told me. But now you telling me after 9 months that. But when a white male pick up the phone and make a phone call, now all of a sudden I'm qualified. You feel me? And John, I'm super grateful. But here's what I'm saying: my guy that I call, he would never have to call me to get he would never have to call me to do the same thing. He could use his own name and his own credit. So that's what I mean when I say, see, I'm not quitting and giving up. I never said that. I think I work harder now to make sure that the next generation is taken care of. But what I'm on, see, is not equality. I'm on, hey, y'all got to work hard. Y'all got to go to school. Y'all got to make sure you because watch this, see, every time somebody get murdered, it's always, was he an alcoholic? Was he using drugs? What does that have to do with you taking somebody's life? But it goes back to, okay, let's find something to discredit this person being a human, right? And so I've always felt like my ancestors have proven to me that if you work hard, you can, but see, everybody shouldn't have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to have a chance, bruh. Everybody shouldn't have to grind, get up at 3 and work to 3. Like everybody shouldn't have to have a PhD. Everybody shouldn't have to do what I'm doing to get what I'm getting. So when I say that, I just mean like, yo, it ain't gonna never just be, it just equal. But what I saw this week, I've been in the game for a minute. I've been in the game for a long time. What I saw this week was like, oh, okay, now, and you gotta hear me. Some people are going, man, you have white individuals who are taking a stand. We always, brother, this ain't the first time. Harriet Tubman has said the Underground Railroad. She didn't mean like a physical space under the earth. That's not what she was talking about. She was talking about her white friends who opened up doors, but they had to keep it on the low though. You feel me? They couldn't tell nobody. You had people march with Martin Luther King, ministers who were white, who lost their lives, right? So we've always had the support. This is the first time in Earth's history that when we are assisted, that now they're not being attacked. Now we on the page where everybody's like, this is wrong. We've always. That's why I try to tell people who be on that, that negative stuff. We've always had white allies. We've always had friends. Always. People who sacrificed their lives. The Freedom Riders, they lost their life on that bus. The people that walked with Martin Luther King, some of them got their lives taken.
Right.
We've always had that support.
But let me tell you what seems different, E. What seems different to me, and I could be wrong, but what seems different to me is, so you always had those type of white people who were like ride or die, like, Josh, Adam, like, I'm down, I'm on the bus with y'all, let's go, I'm willing to, whatever. But I think now the difference is, and I talked about it a little last week, I don't know if I articulated it that well, but what's happening is you're getting those folks who kind of was just like, hey, I'm
Absolutely.
out. Now they're appalled enough to go, whoa. And so what happens is, if you're not speaking out, if you are being quiet, if you are being silent, now it's starting to look like, whoa, why you not saying nothing? Where back in the day, it was like, okay, cool, you got your Freedom Riders, you got your people who had the Underground Railroad with the lights on, but then you had this group that was like I said last week, extremely racist, and you ain't never, bro, my brother just sent me right before we got on the podcast, they just showed me a protest that was going up the street, and there was 2 white dudes, one dude was playing around, had his knee on my man's neck with a Trump, all lives matter.
White lives matter.
I'm saying, like, bruh, they gone. Like, it's nothing, like, if there is nothing we could do, it don't matter. You just never gonna be whatever. But I'm saying, and that's not who I'm talking about now. And I'm not talking about them, and I'm not talking about Josh. I'm talking about right there in the middle somewhere where you looking at this going, I've never spoken out against this kind of stuff, and I don't really know what's going on. My white privilege has afforded me the ability not to even have to think about it.
Yeah.
I'm seeing more of those people get involved now. And
No,
to me,
and I'm saying,
that's why this feels different.
Yeah, but I'm saying the reason why you're seeing it though, C, is because, and it's nothing against them, but I'm saying why you're seeing it is because it's finally not popular to be racist.
That's E. I was just going to say, white people now are willing to argue with other white people.
Right.
Openly about this topic, where before they would stand and say, you say it, Josh, if someone did something to any one of you, of course I'm there. Right? So, but now people that are fence sitters are willing to have a conversation or a comment. See, I told you about a story with someone at the golf course the other day.
Yeah.
He made a comment.
Go ahead, if you can tell it, please.
Yeah, so I went to pick up Hud from the golf course, and one of the guys that works at the golf course was there, and I hadn't seen him in a couple weeks. So I walked up, and he said, man, all of this over a few bad apple cops. And he was, in his mind, he's saying those cops are terrible. Like, he's not trying to say anything about anything. And he said, all this rioting, the looting, and the protesters. And I said, well, is it fair to say the looters are a few bad apples and the protesters are like everybody else?
Right. And
he just looked at me, and I said, the world's in a lot of pain. Hopefully we can help it heal.
Yeah.
And he just didn't know what to say. But now those conversations, that happened in 30 seconds. Before people would be sitting there trying to find their words, trying to get a thought together. And so the line is now drawn. And that's what I'm saying. You either need to get over it and be like the E's point, he's been preaching, get in the boat or get out. Because you just want to know what you have and where you sit.
And before, Josh, if you were racist, you almost bullied that person. And you could get away with bullying them. Like you could get away with putting them under the type of pressure where they would feel like, man, I don't know, not worth it, like to help. But let's just be real, Josh. Maul, and I don't want to get on a tantrum, but I have people in my community that have not stood like I have, Josh. Yeah. Like I'm not mad at people in social media, but Colin Kaepernick put his knee down. There are people in my community that haven't made that type of sacrifice. Like they not ready to go there. So I'm not upset, but I'm saying, Josh, there was a time where if you stood up, you could lose your life, right? And so people were kind of like, yo, we're in a time finally, Josh, where it's really the American dream. You don't have to lose your life for your opinion now. Now you could say how I feel about my black friends, that there's just people without the consequences of somebody calling you, saying you are in love with this group and now we're going to take your life or we're going to take privileges away from you. I'm saying it's finally turned, and now, Josh, they are free to say, and they haven't always been there. Nobody has. The racists have been bullies, and it's like flat out, this is the way we're going to do it, and if you don't do it this way, and that's not the American dream. The American dream is that we do come from all countries. There is no language in America. There's no language because we're coming from all over. But now we're finally getting to a place where you can really be who you are and not be punished because this group doesn't particularly care for you. And to me, that's the hope that I felt this week. Yeah. Like, whoa, that's never happened before. Yeah. You're not getting bullied no more. Like somebody has bullied the bully, as CJ used to say when he was coming up. Somebody has finally bullied the bully, and you can come to school now. Like you can feel comfortable coming to school knowing you ain't about to get into a fight or knowing like nobody's about to dog you out because of how you look or how you talk. Like you can actually come to school to learn. Yeah. And it's let me tell you, Josh, in my neighborhood, I'm so glad this happened. Carl will tell you, I feel like a celebrity.
Everybody.
And I'm not mad, Josh, but I feel to my point that there are people who finally feel like, because everybody's not speaking, Josh, you can tell some people looking at me like, it's because of y'all this is happening, right? It's a couple, but I'm telling you, they're finally the minority. They're finally the minority, Josh. Yeah. And 90% of my neighbors are like, hey, what's going on? I was talking to one of my neighbors. She walked past me on the trail, Josh. True story. This was 2 days ago. She walked past me. And she said, how you doing? My traditional, I'm blessed. I've seen this lady before. I'm blessed. Josh, I saw her 25 minutes later. She was coming back from her walk. I was coming back from my walk, whatever I was doing. And she said, man, I'm so glad I saw you. And I said, yeah, you saw me because I wasn't running today. I was walking. I know you getting on me about it. She said, no. this has nothing to do with the walk. I want to say thank you. I said, for what? She said, you told me you were blessed and that smile of yours. She said, that smile of yours. White female. She said, she didn't talk to me back in the day. I'm not saying she was angry with me or anything, but it was kind of like awkward. She smiled. She said, your smile. She said, I was just walking and I was just going through it and being down on myself because my child is autistic. And I was just saying to myself, like, woe is me, and why did this happen to me and my family? And she said, when you said that you were blessed, it put everything in perspective for me. And that smile of yours. She said, that smile. She crying, Josh. She said, that smile. Josh, I don't need certain things to happen. I just wanted that to happen. I just want to be able to talk to my neighbors like I'm human and they human. That's all I ever wanted. Like, I don't need some, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need the government to give me $2 million and 40 acres in a mule. I just want to be human and treated like I'm a human.